Okay, so here is the second video. If you haven't watched the first video with cosine rule, then you need to start there. This is moving on to use the cosine rule to have a look at how we would find a missing angle. So to start off with, I'm just going to write out the cosine rule. I didn't mention this in my first video, however, the cosine rule is given to you in your exam booklet, so you don't have to worry about memorising this off by heart, although you'll probably find that if you do it often enough, it kind of just sinks into your memory anyway. So we know that the formula a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine of a. So a, b and c, all the lowercase letters, are lengths, and a, the capital A, is the value of the angle. So in this question, theta, which just means an angle, is what we're being asked to find. So that's the only letter that, we have to sort of label as a, because ultimately that's what we're going to be looking for. This is the lowercase a, so I'm going to set this to be lowercase b and this to be lowercase c. So if you were given three sides and you're asked to find an angle and it's not a right angle triangle, so again, emphasis that this is with non-right angle triangles, then what you need to do is to rearrange. Now, if you go back to kind of year 7 and 8 work, if you remember BODMAS, so brackets, or BIDMAS if you want to be posh, indices as in like powers, D for division, M for multiplication, A for addition and S for subtraction. When you were rearranging, you basically need to unpick this in reverse order. So whatever was getting added or subtracted, we're going to sort of rearrange first and then deal with the multiplications and divisions later. So if I want to rearrange this equation to make A the subject, I'm going to do it in the following way. I'm going to start off by saying, okay, so A squared. At the moment, I've got a plus B squared and a plus C squared. So I'm going to take away that B squared and I'm going to take away that C squared. And that leaves me on the right-hand side now with minus 2BC cosine of A. Now remembering in maths, we're really lazy, so if the letters and numbers are all next to each other, that's all being multiplied. So I've undone my addition subtraction stuff. I'm now looking to do the multiplication and division. So again, what am I going to do here? Well, on both sides, I'm going to divide by this minus 2BC. Okay, so I will get the following: A squared minus B squared minus C squared, all divided by minus 2BC. And that's equivalent to cosine of A. Now, some formulas, okay, what they will do is they will take this negative and sort of multiply it out, or, sort of multiply the top and the bottom by minus 1 to get rid of it. So you will see some formulas that are written as B squared plus C squared minus A squared, all over 2BC. And most people enjoy working with more positives than negatives, and if you like that, that's absolutely fine. And that's still equivalent to cosine of A. So let's go back to our question and have a look at the values that we've got there. So I know that A is 35, B is 25, and for C we've got 20 there. So I'm going to use those now in this formula. So I'll just put a line there to keep it nice and tidy. So 25 squared plus 20 squared minus 35 squared, all over 2 times by 25 times by 20. That's equivalent to cosine of A. So get out your calculator and type all of those in. And remember, you must show this step here, where you've gone from the formula to substituting in the values, because that will get you a mark, or a method mark. So hopefully we've got minus 1/5 is equal to cosine of A, or that is the same as minus 0.2. Now it's equivalent to cosine of A, because we're looking for an angle. It doesn't seem reasonable, does it, that this angle here is equal to 1/5. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. 1/5 of a degree is absolutely nothing. So we're going to do the same as what we do with trigonometry, and that is to take the inverse function. to get the value of a. So a is cosine to the minus 1 of this minus a fifth. Now remembering that to get cosine of minus 1 up on your calculator, you must first of all press shift before you press cosine. So doing that now, shift cosine of minus 0.2, or if you've still got minus 1/5 on your calculator, you can just press answer. So you were going to get that the angle A, turns out that it's an obtuse angle, so that's 101.5369 goes on. So to one decimal place, I would say 101.5. Okay, if you're quite happy with that there and all of that has made sense, then you should finish watching the video now and go on to do question 2 from that worksheet link that I sent through. If you are still struggling to kind of understand what's going on here and how I rearrange this, I'm going to spend a little bit more time explaining that step by step in the next part of the video, so you can carry on watching. So for those of you who are still kind of struggling a little bit with how I rearrange that equation, I'm going to just go through it again step by step, but slower here. You are going to need to do this for yourself. If ever this question comes up in an exam, this is the equation that you're given for the cosine rule, but they don't give it to you rearranged. So you really do have to be able to do this for yourself. So I'm going to start off by putting on the sort of lines that I like to draw both sides, just to show what I'm doing. So as I said, we're doing BODMAS in reverse. That means I'm going to unpick anything that's been added or subtracted first. So I'm going to subtract the b squared and I'm going to subtract c squared. Now I'm doing that obviously to both sides, so I'm just going to write it down on both sides. So b squared when I subtract b squared is going to go to 0, and c squared when I subtract c squared is also going to go to 0. And that means on the left hand side now I have an a squared, subtract a b squared, subtract a c squared. What I'm left with on the right hand side is a negative, so a minus 2bc cosine of a. And then this is where we've got a multiplication going on between these two. It's minus 2 times b times c times cosine a. And I'm really trying to get this a on its own, but that's locked in with the cosine. So it means that this is the bit here that I need to get rid of, this minus 2bc. Now, because they're being multiplied, the way to get rid of it is to divide by the minus 2bc. So divide by minus 2bc here also. So that cancels with that. So I'm left here with cosine of a. And on this side, I've got a squared minus b squared minus c squared, all divided by that minus 2bc. Now, as I said, I sort of hinted at it in the previous part, what you've got is, this negative here, which you can just kind of multiply through the top row instead. So rather than having that negative at the bottom, if you multiply it through on the top row, you would get minus a squared. Minus b squared times by that negative is a positive b squared, and minus c squared times by that negative is a positive c squared, all over 2bc now. And if I just rearrange that so that we don't have the negative at the beginning, because people don't really like that, then you've got b squared plus c squared minus a squared, all over 2bc. I hope that makes just a little bit more sense to you now. Okay, thanks for watching. See you later.